Let's take you to our reporter Mbali Thethani. She's on the R59 in Midvaal. Mbali, you've also been watching the roads, and of course the kind of traffic that we're seeing for this Easter weekend is something that we really haven't seen in a while. Talk to me about what you've observed, especially just given the time that you've spent out there today.
Well, that's right, Kathy. This time last year, we found ourselves in a very difficult and different period where we were faced with a very harsh lockdown regulation. Of course, the South Africans were not allowed to travel during this period, even though it was a religious holiday. And of course, this time around, we find ourselves under lockdown level 1. And of course, we do know that this time around, inter-provincial travel is allowed, and those who want to attend their different churches during this period will be allowed, Kathy. But we know that there are stringent measures in terms of how many people can be allowed inside those churches. But government officials continue to stress asking South Africans not to travel, because we know that we still find ourselves in the time of a pandemic. We find ourselves during the coronavirus, where of course this virus spreads when a number of people continue to travel. So we've seen the message coming out from COGTA Minister, of course, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, saying that while we do find ourselves under level 1, Kathy, they are asking for South Africans not to continue to travel, but rather spend the Easter period and the Easter holidays rather at home. At the same time, Kathy, we also know that this time around traffic officials are on high alert and just observing, looking at the vehicles passing through here. And I must tell you that there is a lot of activity taking place, Kathy. Just standing here today, what the Gauteng Traffic Police and the Gauteng Transport Department is doing today, they are monitoring vehicles passing on the R59, but their main focus, Kathy, is specifically on trucks. You would know that trucks are also one of those vehicles that causes a lot of accidents on the road, especially when it comes to overloading. But I'm now just joined by the MEC for Transport, Mr. Jacob Mamabolo. You have come here today, Dr. Jacob, and you have come and inspect the roads during this Easter period. How important is this?
It is very much important that as government, we go all out with our law enforcement agencies to enforce compliance with the laws regulating movement on the roads, safety. But also we know during this period, we are also raising awareness about COVID-19, compliance with the COVID-19 protocols. And one of the things that we are also looking at in particular today, the light delivery vehicles that are overloaded. We are on the way bridge, so we pull them out to check the loads that they are carrying, because that is also a big risk to the people. So our appeal to road users is, please respect the rules of the road. To those who are at home, if there's no reason for you to travel, stay at home. And we also know that there are problems of infrastructure on the road. There were heavy rains. We have been in a lockdown. So road conditions, markings, potholes, traffic lights working, not working, those issues, we are looking at all of them, and that is why this program is important. We must save lives of people.
And so far, while you are, of course, inspecting the vehicles and inspecting specifically those light vehicles and those trucks, what problems have you picked up on so far?
The biggest culprit on this road, R59, is the vehicles that are overloaded. Both the light delivery vehicles and the big ones. That is what we are picking up, and that's what is going to be our focus. And we really appeal to the people to make sure that their vehicles are loaded within the limits of the law. So what we are seeing is really the non-compliance with overloading, and we're putting those vehicles on the side.
While as government you have asked people to stay at home and not travel during this Easter period, have you seen traffic volumes pick up even further than what we are used to over this lockdown period?
I am deeply worried because just observing here on the road, of course it is not the same as the previous years, but if you take into account that any increase in movement of people towards during this period, it is a big risk in terms of potentially it could lead to increase in rate of infections. So movement of people, particularly here in our province, where roads interface to different parts of the country, including neighboring states. So any slight increase in movement of people, it's a big worry, and that's why I would like to join the president of our country in encouraging people to slow down. But you can see this movement indicates that this is a time of high movement, and it is worrying that people are traveling, of course, not the same as the previous years.
Thank you very much. Of course, that is MEC Jacob Mamabolo. I'm just going to ask my colleague Ritu just to show you the traffic that is moving here on the R59. And I must point out that one thing in particular that we continue to see is, of course, those trucks making their way here. We know that most of the trucks passing through this road are those making their way from the Free State. So these are those trucks who are avoiding to use the N1 and are rather opting to use the R59. And as you've heard there, the MEC saying that, yes, traffic volumes have picked up, and saying that while they have encouraged South Africans to stay at home, the number of people that they are seeing on the roads is quite worrying.
Well, we certainly hope that this increased traffic is not necessarily going to result in an increase in terms of the accident rates that we'll see over the next 4 days. Mbali, Thethani out on the R59 with officials who are trying to ensure that there is compliance with the law to avoid, the loss of life over this period. It is traditionally a time that records the highest fatalities when it comes to accidents on the road. So we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that throughout the Easter weekend.